Welcome back to the deep dive. We are here to process the articles, the research, the insights, and really give you the essential knowledge you need to be well informed, and today, hopefully a little less anxious.
Yes, today's deep dive tackles a challenge that is, well, pretty universal. It's that moment you walk into a social gathering, a networking event, a party, maybe just the office kitchen, and you realize you have to talk entirely in English, armed with, how are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, that feeling, that immediate tightening dread. You pull out your phone, pretend you're responding to some urgent email,
Right.
and you just hope the awkwardness passes you by. So our listener mission today is to break that cycle. We're moving beyond the grammar books to give you a complete toolkit for, well, authentic, natural English conversation.
And this mission is so critical because when we dug into the sources, what's really fascinating is that the main hurdle for non-native English speakers is rarely grammar or vocabulary. Yeah. Research shows that for 70% of people, the biggest barrier to fluency is just pure social anxiety. It's the fear of performing, the fear of making a mistake in real time.
So the language skills are often there, but it's the emotional barrier that's just too high. That's a huge insight.
It is. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, all the sources we looked at, they're unanimous on this. Mastering small talk leads to really tangible benefits.
Like what?
We're talking faster career advancement, stronger friendships, and just, greater daily confidence. Our goal is to break that vicious cycle where anxiety leads to avoidance.
Which means you get no practice.
Exactly, which just creates more anxiety.
And that's why we built the F.L.O.W framework. It's a structure designed to turn that moment of panic into a path for connection. But before we get to the solution, let's talk about where most people stumble. Let's unpack the common small talk traps.
The biggest one, based on a lot of cognitive research, is what we call analysis paralysis.
What's that?
It's the moment the conversation starts and the speaker starts treating it like a high-stakes exam.
Right. They're thinking, is my verb tense correct? Did I use the right preposition? What's the most, sophisticated word I can use right now?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the result is a freeze. You're asked something completely benign like, so what brings you here tonight? And your brain just halts.
It just stalls out.
It's analyzing vocabulary and grammar so intensely that by the time you've put together the perfect answer, 5 agonizing seconds have passed.
And the other person has already moved on, and you feel like you failed.
Yeah, and that connects directly to the second problem, relying on memorized scripts.
Oh, this is a big one. You drill those first 2 lines, the greeting, the how's the weather, but real conversation is, it's like improvisational jazz, not a fixed script.
Absolutely. The moment they go off script, you have no framework to respond, and the conversation just stalls. Memorized phrases only get you through the front door.
We need a structure that works in the hallway, the living room.
Yeah, and the garden. And speaking of traps, we identified 3 specific conversation killers that our sources just kept warning against.
Okay, trap number 1 is something I've personally done. The question interrogation trap.
This is when you try to keep the conversation going by just asking this relentless stream of closed questions.
Do you live here?
Yes.
Do you work nearby?
No. Do you like this music?
It's okay.
You feel like an interviewer.
And then the other person feels drained. You're forcing them to do all the conversational heavy lifting, and the dynamic just gets, uncomfortable.
Okay, trap number 2, the compliment and run syndrome. You start so well, you give a lovely opener like, I really like your scarf. They say thank you.
And then crickets.
Total silence. You used all your energy on that one line and had no follow-up prepared, so you're both just left stranded.
And the third trap is so important for anyone engaging in international English. Cultural context confusion.
This is critical. It is, because what might be totally acceptable small talk in your home culture, asking about someone's salary, their age, their marital status.
Things like that can be a major social boundary violation in a lot of English-speaking cultures.
Exactly. The sources are really clear that these topics can be immediate conversation shutdowns.
So we've defined the problems. Anxiety, freezing, these cultural missteps. How does the F.L.O.W framework actually help with these risks?
F.L.O.W gives you back control. It's a natural structure that removes that pressure of having to think on the fly, but it also stops you from sounding, robotic.
So what is it then for?
It stands for find common ground, listen actively, open-ended questions, and rap gracefully.
I like that. It's focused on the process, not on perfect output. So let's dive into the F, a find common ground. Where do we even start if we want to avoid getting too personal right away?
You start with safe, universal topics that exist right there in that specific moment. You don't need to ask about their whole life story.
Right.
You just focus on the immediate environment. The event itself, the food, the location, even the weather. These are neutral topics. They give both of you an equal starting point.
Can you give us a few reliable conversation starters that are just about the environment?
Of course. So instead of a stiff, hello, how are you? You could try something like, this venue was amazing. Have you been here before? Or, if you're standing near the food, I'm trying to decide what to try. Have you had anything good? Or the old classic, this weather is crazy today, isn't it? I was not prepared for the rain.
Those are so much more useful than, a textbook phrase. They invite the other person to share something that's low stakes and happening right now.
Exactly. And once they respond, that's when we move to L. Listen actively. This is your secret weapon.
Why is secret weapon?
Because it takes all the pressure off of you. The paradox is that when you focus on being genuinely interested in what they're saying, you become infinitely more interesting to them.
That makes so much sense. We often spend our listening time just rehearsing our next line in our head. So how do we show we're actively listening in English without just, nodding silently?
We use 3 powerful techniques. First one is echo and expand. So if they say, I just spent 2 years working in Chicago, don't just say, oh, nice.
Right.
You echo that key word and ask for more. Chicago. Wow. What was it like living there?
Now, I have to challenge that a little. If I just repeat what they said, doesn't that sound kind of awkward or, childish?
That's a great question. It only sounds awkward if you repeat their entire sentence back to them.
Okay.
The key is to grab the single most interesting word, Chicago, a project, a hobby, and use that as the pivot point for your follow-up. It shows you heard them and you're curious about that specific detail.
That refines it perfectly. Okay, what's technique number 2?
Verbal nods. These are those little encouraging phrases that you hear all the time in native English conversation. Things like, really? That's interesting. Tell me more about that.
They're like linguistic applause.
That's a great way to put it. They show engagement and invite them to keep going.
And then I assume there's nonverbal.
Technique 3 is body language. Maintain appropriate eye contact. Don't stare, but don't look at the floor. Nod a little, lean in slightly, and try to have a natural, positive expression. Your body confirms you're listening, even when you're silent.
Okay, so we've used F and L, we've found common ground, and we're listening actively. Now we move to O, open-ended questions. This is where we break free from that interrogation trap.
Yes. We need to create what we call conversation highways. And open-ended questions are defined by the fact that they demand more than just a yes or a no.
They invite stories, opinions, details.
Exactly.
So let's simplify the formula. To avoid those conversational dead ends, you want to avoid questions that start with do you or are you. Instead, you use words like what, how, why, or my personal favorite, tell me about.
Let's compare the effect. A closed question is, do you like living in the city? The answer is yes or no. Conversation over.
Right. Dead end.
The open question is, what do you enjoy most about living in the city? Now they're sharing a personal experience, and you have like 5 different things you can ask about next.
That immediately changes the whole dynamic. So let's apply this. We're in a conversation, and someone drops what the sources call a conversation gift. How do we recognize that?
A conversation gift is any small, specific detail they mention. Maybe they complain about the music or mention a recent trip. You have to grab it and expand on it right away.
Okay, give me an example. Party scenario.
Right, party scenario. They comment that the music is too loud. Don't just say, yeah, I agree. Expand on it. Ask about their preferences. Oh, are you a fan of this kind of music generally? You could make a recommendation. If you like this, have you heard of this other artist? And then ask an engaging follow-up. What kind of music usually makes it onto your playlists?
So you've turned a single comment into 3 new conversational branches. That's very effective. But what if it stalls? The dreaded awkward silence happens. What's our rescue move?
You need to have some connection questions ready. The beauty of these is they link you both back to the shared moment. The most reliable one, especially at a party, is, I just realized I don't know how you know the host.
That's brilliant. It's always relevant and completely harmless. What are some others?
Other solid rescue moves are things like, so how do you spend most of your time these days? Or, got any exciting plans for the weekend coming up?
All of those just pull the focus away from the pause and re-engage the other person. And that brings us to the last letter, W. Wrap gracefully.
Knowing how to end a conversation is such an underestimated skill in English.
Right, you can't just, walk away. You have to be polite, but also direct.
That's right. The sources give some really excellent dual-purpose exit phrases. You need a phrase that acknowledges the good conversation.
And gives a clear, simple reason for ending it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for networking, you might say. It was really great talking with you. I should probably circulate a bit more before the talks start, but hey, let's exchange contact info.
So you've wrapped it up, given a reason, and maybe even secured a future connection. What about in a more casual setting?
It could be softer. Well, I'm gonna grab another drink. It was so lovely meeting you. The structure is what's key. A positive affirmation, a simple reason for leaving, and a final positive farewell.
Okay, so before we wrap it up, we need the actual words, the verbal tools to show we're engaged, not just cycling through the F.L.O.W. framework. Let's build that vocabulary toolkit. What are some phrases that show we are actively processing what we're hearing?
When you hear compelling detail, use phrases that invite them to talk about the experience. So instead of just why, which can sometimes sound a little aggressive.
A bit blunt?
Yeah, try something like, how did that come about? Or what was that like?
And what if we want to show connection, not just interest?
You can use these great bridging phrases that link their story to your own. It builds rapport instantly. I can totally relate to that that reminds me of this time when it shows you're not just listening, you're understanding.
I think we need to pause on pronunciation for a second, because the delivery of one word can change everything. The sources really stress the word interesting.
Oh yes, a flat, bored, interesting sounds sarcastic.
Or like you don't care at all.
Right, but an enthusiastic, curious, that's interesting. With the emphasis on that first syllable, that sounds like genuine curiosity. Intonation is just so critical.
It's the music of the language. Okay, so we're deep in the conversation now. Topics might be shifting. We need transition phrases to navigate those jumps.
Yeah, transitions stop the conversation from feeling like a list of random topics.
Yeah.
Use things like, speaking of the last topic, that reminds me. Or, if you need a bigger jump, on a completely different note.
That smooths the shift. And since we're focused on connection, not conflict, we need language for diplomatic disagreement.
Absolutely. You won't always agree, but you need to keep the flow respectful. So to disagree partially, you first acknowledge their position. Use phrases like, I see what you mean, though I might have a slightly different take on it. Or, I hear you, and I would also add that. It validates their perspective before you offer yours.
And finally, the most important part of the toolkit, emergency voices. For when you just don't understand, we have to stop pretending we understood.
Please, never pretend. Clarity shows you're engaged, not that you're weak. Just use direct phrases like, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say that another way?
Or even just, my English isn't perfect, I'm still learning. Could you explain what that word means?
Native speakers genuinely appreciate that. It's so much better than just nodding along.
Those phrases are so powerful. Okay, let's shift to the psychology behind all of this. The confidence mindset. Because F.L.O.W. is great, but it won't work if the anxiety is just paralyzing.
We have to lower our expectations of perfection. I mean, look, every fluent English speaker, including native ones, makes mistakes all the time. They use words incorrectly, they mess up grammar.
If you're waiting for perfection before you speak, you're never going to speak.
You'll never participate. The goal is communication, not perfect grammatical accuracy.
Focus on the connection. And to help with that, the sources had a brilliant preparation strategy. Prepare a few 30-second personal stories.
This is a huge insight. When you're anxious, your brain is already using massive resources on just grammar and finding the right words. That's your cognitive load.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to invent a complex story about your hobby and translate it at the same time, you're going to freeze. By preparing a few short anecdotes about a funny thing that happened, a favorite trip, you remove the need to create the story on the spot. Just deliver it.
It frees up all that mental energy to actually listen and apply F.L.O.W. And what about using our body to help our brain?
Right, the facial feedback hypothesis. It's a big term for something simple. Your body language can trick your brain.
How does that work?
If you stand in a confident posture, shoulders back, maybe hands on your hips for just 2 minutes before you go into an event, studies show it can actually change your neurochemistry. It lowers stress hormones like cortisol.
So you're basically telling your body, okay, this isn't a threat, before you even say a word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And combine that with a core principle. The most charismatic people are the best listeners. So focus on the person in front of you. use the framework, and that anxiety about your own performance, it just starts to fade.
Okay, we've given you the structure, the vocabulary, the mindset. Now for the action step. Commitment to gradual exposure is, it's scientifically proven to rewire that fear response. We don't want you to commit to 30 conversations this week.
No, please don't.
Just commit to starting 3 conversations in English this week. That's it. Small wins are essential.
And here's a provocative thought we want to leave you with. Your accent does not determine your value, and it certainly does not determine your intelligence. In fact, the very act of communicating across languages is a kind of cognitive superpower. Every small conversation you start, every awkward silence you push through is a bridge you're building. It's a door you're opening to some unexpected opportunity.
You have permission to be imperfect, permission to ask for clarification and to take your time. This whole process is just about 2 imperfect humans trying to understand each other.
That's all it is.
So take a deep breath, focus on curiosity, not on grammar, and remember that perfect, simple, safe conversation starter that gets you to F and starts the flow. This venue is amazing. Have you been here before?
We believe in your ability to connect. Keep practicing, keep growing, and keep connecting.